I wanted to make this video for all of the people in lockdown with me this last week who maybe haven't done a lot of walking or running in a long time, and then all of a sudden we have this like small taste of freedom every day of 1 hour to go out and get some exercise, and perhaps you're one of those people that have just gone walking every day or running or cycling every day, and your body's not used to that much movement, so maybe you're feeling a little stiff or achy. Maybe you're one of our incredible healthcare workers who has been on your feet for a really long time, and you're waking up with stiff legs and stiff lower back. And sometimes when we've done a lot of movement and we feel achy and stiff, we have that kind of habitual inclination to rest or to not do any more movement. In actual fact, movement is the best thing to release any lactic acid that may be making you achy or stiff, and especially for your lower back. If doing a lot of walking or running has made your lower back a little bit uncomfortable, or just feeling kind of tight, then this class today is perfect for you. And it's a really nice beginner class. Still a little flowy, but no strength at all, just really nice, stretchy. So really nice one to do before bed at night to help you to release any of those tensions from your first week in lockdown. So I hope you enjoy it, and feel free to keep making requests, sending them my way. I'm here at home with time to film during the day at certain points when the babies are asleep, so I'll do my best to keep loading videos up for you. So with that in mind, find yourself a space. You don't need a mat, just somewhere with space to lay down and stand up, and we will get moving.
We'll start then laying in Shavasana, or relaxation pose. So laying flat on your back, allow your legs to be wide with your feet rolling outwards so your leg muscles can completely relax and let go. Arms resting beside you, traditionally with palms facing up, so that your shoulder girdle can start to soften and relax as well. Relaxing the muscles of your face, and just allow your body to get really heavy laying here. And just notice your breathing. Noticing how you breathe as you lay here. Quite often we tend to just breathe shallowly, either into the chest or the belly. So our aim in yoga is to use the full capacity of our lungs to tap into our nervous system, bringing us into a sense of calm. So slowing and deepening your breathing now. So you inhale into the belly, up into the chest. And exhaling, allowing the chest to deflate and the tummy to deflate. Sinking breath with movement, inhaling then to stretch your arms overhead and point the toes. As you exhale, hug both knees into your tummy. And so the aim of this practice today is to continue to breathe deeply as we move. Just rocking side to side, massaging your back into the floor. And from here once more, as you start to take a nice big inhale breath, extending the arms overhead and point the toes, taking a big full body stretch. And this time as you exhale, just hugging your right knee in towards your body. Wrapping your hands over the shins, flexing and pointing the toes here, mobilizing the ankle joint. Straightening the leg all the way to the sky, holding the back of your leg wherever's comfy for you. You can keep a bend in your knee if you need to, gently drawing the leg towards you to get a little stretch through the back of the thigh. Breathing deeply here. You can flex the toes back towards your shin to bring more stretch into your calves if you're feeling tight here after lots of walking or running. Good. Breathing deeply, and as you exhale, release the foot all the way down to the ground. Inhaling, stretch the arms overhead and point the toes. And as you exhale, drawing your left knee in towards your tummy, holding onto the shin. Again, just moving the foot around to mobilize the ankle. Excusing Olivia joining us in the background. Good. So just mobilizing the joint, moving, circling, flexing and pointing, and then straighten your leg to the sky. Hold the back of the leg again with or without a bend in the knee. So eventually we'll aim for straight, but if you need that bend in the knee to soften the stretch, you can. Good. So just a few deep breaths here. You may find that tension eases back after a couple, and you can maybe go a little deeper into your stretch, but never forcing, never straining. Exhale to release your left foot down to the ground. And as you inhale, let the arms rise overhead and point the toes. As you exhale, you're going to pull the left knee back in towards us, preparing for a twist this time. So allow yourself to roll over onto your right side as you bring your left knee over towards the floor. So as you can see here, my knee doesn't come to the ground, so it's likely that yours may not too. So either let your foot come down to rest, or you can prop a pillow or a bolster up underneath your left shin. Keeping your shoulders grounded, turning your head to look towards the left hand. Taking a few deep breaths here. So twists are really amazing for keeping the joints in your spine hydrated and mobile. So rolling your way onto your back. Switching sides as you inhale, big stretch. Exhaling, drawing your right knee in towards your body. Rolling off over onto your left. Propping up the shin or let your foot come down to rest. By keeping the shoulders grounded and looking towards that opposite hand, you bring the twist into your neck vertebrae as well. And you're also keeping the twist in the perfect spot within your spine. So just taking a couple more breaths here, feeling the right rib cage expand with each inhale and soften with each exhale. Breathing in, release back to your back, stretching here. Breathing out to hug your knees back in, and then you can either roll off onto your side or take a few rocks up and down to bring yourself up to sitting. So you're going to sit cross-legged from here to start to stretch into the outer hips. So getting really grounded through your sit bones. It sounds a weird one, but sometimes it helps to widen or lift the flesh of your bum to widen your sitting bones so that your hips are more flexible, more comfortable here. With your shins then stacking one in front of the other, so your ankles kind of stack under your knees, we're just going to really gently start to tip forward. So it doesn't need to be the same aesthetic as what I'm doing here. It might be that you have very little room for movement, but just tip until you find that stretch in your outer hips. So one will be more dominant than the other, depending on your cross. So then we're just going to uncross and switch so that you have the opposite shin crossing in front. So I'm just facing the camera here so you can see more clearly that the aim is to stack the shins rather than crossing the ankles if possible. You might again need to prop your hips up on pillows or bolsters, and your knees might be quite high, and that's okay. Just find whatever stretch you can here. And if you repeat these movements or similar movements again and again and again, your body will open and become more mobile. We're going to find our way to all fours for a sequence called cat-cow. So inhaling to find back bend and exhaling to round forward, tucking your chin to your chest. So as you inhale, the belly dips down, tilting your sit bones up. Exhaling, push down through the floor as you really round the spine towards the sky. Breathing in, belly hammocks as you lift the head. Breathing out to curl and round. So again, really great one for mobilizing, releasing your back. Inhaling your way into back extension, so finding back bend. Exhale to round forward. Inhaling, tailbone tilts up as you lift the head. And exhale to round. And just let yourself find rhythm with breath and movement here. So as you breathe in, you find back bend, and as you breathe out, you round forward. You might want to stay in the stretch for a couple of breaths each time. But it's a really nice place to find your flow and your rhythm of linking movement and breath, especially if you're not used to doing that. So if your toes tucking under from all fours, we're going to sweep our right leg out to the right side. So the right foot is in line with your left knee. So starting to stretch into the right inner thigh now. Your hands can walk forward to deepen the stretch, or stay close if you need more support. Pressing your bum back a little bit here deepens the sensation on that inner thigh. So again, just explore it in your own body. If you need extra cushioning under your knees, find it. From here then, we'll walk the hands over to the left so that you can continue to sweep that right foot to the front edge of your mat. So we end up in a low lunge. For the purpose of today, we'll untuck the toes in the back leg. And so you're sitting the weight of your hips forward, pressing into your knee to give you a little traction to lift the chest and lengthen through the spine. Finding a subtle tuck of the tailbone towards the front knee to bring a bigger stretch into the hip flexor of the back leg. So somewhere we can be really tight if we've done a lot of running or cycling. To deepen this into a bigger opening in the hip flexor and the side of the waist, just starting to tip over to the right, stretching the left arm overhead. Maybe the right fingertips can come to the ground, or you can keep them to the hip. From there, let both hands come back down, framing the front foot, and slowly start to move your hips back in space, finding your way into a half split. So very much like when we were laying on our back, you may not be able to straighten your leg all the way here if you're tight in the hamstrings. So just moving the hips as far back as you can, again, finding the stretch in the back of that right thigh. So to ease out, the hands can walk closer towards you and the chest kind of lifts away from the leg. Oppositely, to deepen the stretch, the hands can walk forward and the chest can close down towards the front shin. Taking 2 more deep breaths. Good. From here, bending back into your front knee, we're going to bring the hands inside your front foot now and just wriggle your front foot off to the right edge of your mat. We're coming into another stretch for the right outer hip, so that kind of butt cheek zone. Flexing the right toes back towards you. We're going to pivot from the hip, so the knee starts to open wide, but the movement is at the hip. So again, the range of motion may be different. We'll add a twist. Right arm lifts to the sky, maybe reaching behind you to deepen the stretch. And pressing into the inner thigh here can sometimes give you a greater sense of spaciousness through the waist, feeling that nice little release on one side of the lower back. Bring the hands back down to the floor. We'll lift the back knee up so we end up in a little lizard lunge, taking a little rock backwards and forwards here. And then lowering the back knee down once more, we're going to sweep that right leg all the way back to all fours to switch sides. So left foot will sweep out to the left side, coming in line with your right knee. Again, just finding your range of motion in this stretch. So hips can move back or bum can move back to find more sensation on the left inner thigh. Hands can walk forward or even drop to your forearms like I have here if you need more stretch. Good, keeping the breath smooth and even. Deep breathing helps you to release the tensions that are gripping as well. We're going to continue then to walk the hands over to the right to create plenty of room to swing that left foot to the front edge of your mat. Bringing the hands up to the knee, untucking the back toes, sitting the bum towards the front heel, but not completely collapsing at the pelvis. So the leg strength is still working and resisting. So you're kind of grounding down through the top of your back foot. As much as you're sitting forward, pressing the palms into the knee to lift the chest, finding a little bit of back extension. Again, option to start to tip the torso over towards that left side. Left fingertips to the floor, or they can hold the waist or bind behind your back as you extend the right arm across to the left. When you're ready to release, hands come back down to frame the front foot. Bum moves back in space, getting into a stretch again on that left hamstring. Flexing the toes back towards you will bring more sensation down into the calf. If you need a bend in your knee, I'm just showing you here how you can take a bend in the knee to ease the stretch. Or again, lifting the hands away from the floor or walking them closer towards your legs or your hips. Good, so breathing here, just giving that leg time and space to open. Bending back into the left knee, hands come down inside the left foot. Wriggle the left foot off to the outer edge of your mat. Or if you're a taller person, you may need to go slightly wider, so find what works for you. Flex the left toes back towards the shin as you roll onto the outside edge of the left foot. So again, we're looking to rotate at that hip. So stretching into the left outer hip, finding a twist as you inhale, reach your left arm to the sky. Maybe you can deepen the stretch by reaching behind you, keeping the shoulder nice and mobile, or pressing very gently onto the left inner thigh, creating space and traction at the lower waist. Slowly releasing the hands back down to the floor, tucking the back toes, lift the back knee, a brief lizard pose, little rock back and forth here. Keeping nice and open at the joint of the hips. And then we'll lower the back knee down. Again, walking the hands over to the right so you can free that left leg up to sweep back to all fours. From here, keeping your hips stacking over your knees in this all fours position, we're going to walk the hands forward to the front edge, or they may go just beyond the front edge of your mat. Engage your belly as you press the chest down towards the floor, keeping your arms rigidly straight. So puppy pose, we're really looking to create a big opening in the shoulders and the upper back. It's really easy to dip this into a back bend in your lower back, but for the purpose of today, keep engaging the belly to isolate the stretch to the upper back and the shoulders. So breathing in, you can release out a little bit if you need to, and then breathing out to lower the chest back towards the floor. From here, we'll come into a little thread the needle, so letting the left arm thread underneath the right. If possible, lowering down onto the outside edge of that left shoulder so the left palm faces the sky. Breathing here, so opening into the shoulders, getting a little twist into the spine again. Breathing in to come back to center, and as you breathe out, reaching the right arm under the left. So hips remain square here. The rotation really comes from the middle of the back. So just at the back of the ribs as we find this little gentle twist. Stretching into the shoulders. Releasing your hands back to all fours. We'll tuck the toes under here and move your hips up and back so we end up in a standing forward fold at the back edge of your mat. And just allow gravity to do the work for you here. So again, bend at the knees if you need to. It's much more effective to have a bend in your knees with your spine draping down towards the floor than it is to have straight legs and a really hunched over lower back, which puts a lot of pressure on your discs. So just notice if that's you. Try to let your spine drape down towards the floor here. Making this a more active stretch, then holding your shins or your ankles. Inhale to lift your chest halfway up, lengthening through the spine. Exhale then to draw the crown of your head down towards the floor. And you can explore over time from those bent knees, pressing the legs towards straight. Rolling up to stand slowly, bone by bone when you're ready. Stepping to the front edge of your mat, and then we'll keep the weight into your right foot. Stepping your left foot back about 2.5 to 3 feet. Turning your left heel down so the left foot's diagonal to the back of your mat. Hips remain square as you wrap the arms behind your back. Inhale, shrug your shoulders back, and exhale, lowering your chest halfway down. So torso is in line or parallel with the ground. So the back muscles are working here to keep this nice long line through the spine, lengthening from your tailbone out through the crown of your head. Slowly rising back up, releasing the arms, giving them a little swing out, switching sides. So right foot steps back, turning the back heel down, square the hips. So it's almost as if you're bringing the right hip bone forward, the left hip bone back. So you could draw a line across ways from hip bone to hip bone. Wrap the arms, inhale, roll the shoulders back, puff the chest up. Exhaling to lower the chest halfway towards the floor. So staying really strong in that front leg, trying not to lock at the knee, so there's a softness at the knee. Toes gripping into the floor. So you're still holding strength in the front leg as much as you're stretching the back of that front thigh as well. Breathing in to rise back up to stand. Breathing out to step forward and release your arms. Again, giving them a little swing here. We're going to come into a standing back bend now. So getting really strong and engaged in your thighs, grounding down through the feet. As you inhale, let the arms stretch overhead. Still keep an engagement in your belly as if you're trying to draw your ribs in and your belly button to your spine. You can't see my hands here, but I'm hooking my thumbs as if I'm making like bird shadows on the wall in front of me. So hook your thumbs as if you're pulling your arms away from one another as you arch back. So squeezing the belly, lifting the chest, resist through the arms. Letting an inhale breath bring you back up to center then. As you exhale, keeping the belly engaged, tipping over to your right side, stretching through the left. Breathing in to come back to center, and exhale, tipping over to the left side. Keep strong through your arms. Inhale to center. Exhaling, swan dive forward, let the arms go wide, keep the spine long as you come back to a standing forward fold. Breathing in to lift your chest halfway up. And as you breathe out, we're going to step 1 foot at a time back to downward facing dog. So creating this V shape through the body. If you've never done down dog before, just like standing forward fold, leave a bend in your knees if you need it in order to keep length and space through your spine. So you can keep your arms nice and straight, pressing your hips back. And then when the legs are ready to straighten, allow them to be straight. And as you push the hips back, you get that nice big opening through the backs of the legs again. We're preparing for pigeon pose next. Inhaling to kick your right heel to the sky behind you. On the exhalation, now we're going to bend that knee between the hands so the shin lowers down between the palms. For most of us, finding a diagonal line then with your shin as you sit the hip towards the floor will bring you into enough sensation in that front hip, that right outer hip. So getting into that butt cheek zone again. If you're super tight in the hip, you might need a narrower angle. Again, you can always prop your bum up onto cushions if you need to be higher. So it may not be comfy for you to lower your forehead all the way down to the ground here. Stay on your forearms or propped onto your hands if you need to. We're trying to keep the pelvis square here. So if you notice that you're sitting off on your right hip, keep turning the left thigh or the left hip bone down towards the floor so the weight is evenly distributed through your pelvis. So you're sitting a little bit into your left side as well, giving you a deeper stretch in that right hip. Saying 3 more deep breaths here. When you're ready to come out of this pose, pressing up onto your palms, tucking the back toes under, lift the back knee and push into the hands, stepping your way back to downward facing dog. Switching sides here. Preparing for the left side. When you're ready, inhale to lengthen your left foot to the ceiling behind you, 3-legged dog. On the exhale, lower the shin forward between the hands and then pivot again to find your angle in order to get into that left outer hip. So if you're much more flexible in the hip, I'm just showing you a little fidget around here. Flexible hips, the shin might eventually be parallel with the front line of your mat. Squaring that right hip bone down to face the ground so you're not rolling off onto your left side. Bringing the forearms to the floor, or if it's comfy to let the head rest all the way down here, then you can do that too. And just easing into your breath, trying to let that left hip relax and get heavy. So gravity helping you to deepen your stretch here. Good. So probably a good point to make at this stage is if you have any knee issues and this isn't working for you, you can always lay on your back and cross one ankle over the opposite knee for a more of a thread the needle stretch or a laying pigeon pose. We'll stay for a few more deep breaths here. This may be your tighter side or you're more flexible. So it is normal to feel a little bit of discomfort in this stretch, particularly the hips can be very stubborn. So knowing that it's okay to feel discomfort when you're stretching as long as there's no pain. To ease out of this one now, we'll press into the palms and now we're just going to swing that back leg around to the front of your mat. So you'll lean off onto your left hip a little bit in order to do that. So then in seated pose, Dandasana, widening the hips, again, bending at the knees if you're really tight in your hamstrings. For a seated forward fold, inhale to extend the arms overhead. On the exhale, pivot from the hips, keeping your chest proud here. So again, think length through the spine, from the tailbone out through the crown of the head. Holding the feet or the shins. If you have a yoga strap, you can wrap your strap around the feet. Drawing your heart forward. Now, if you're flexible enough to fold all the way in, forehead to shins, without compromising your lower back or really rounding through your upper back, then you can start to fold the forehead down to the shins. But for most of us, keeping the chest proud, lengthening up through the crown of the head will again bring you into enough sensation. Easing up to your seated start point, we'll step the left foot over the right leg here for a twist. So again, lengthen at your lower back. If you're hunching and rounding in your lower back, press down, lift your bum and kick your tailbone back so you can have a nice long spine. Back hand can support you then as you twist to the left. So you're hugging that left knee into the crease of your right elbow. If it's good for your neck to do so, you can turn your gaze to look over the back shoulder. Otherwise, more neutral, looking to the side of the room is perfect. Using an exhale breath to return to center and switching sides. So crossing the right foot over the left leg. Again, wriggle around through your bum so you can get nice and long through your spine. And if it's really a struggle to get that rounding of the lower back out, you can prop yourself up on a yoga block or a pillow so you get a little bit of height in order to help you tilt your pelvis forward. So we're twisting to the right this time. Left elbow is hugging the right knee, or left crease of the elbow rather. Good, looking over the back shoulder, couple more breaths. This is Billy and Missy, my two little friends. Good, so to prepare to come out, taking a big inhale breath in your twist, use the exhale to unravel you back to center. From here, we're gonna shift forward so that you've got plenty of room to roll down onto your back, finishing exactly as we started, breathing into a big full body stretch, breathing out to bring your right knee in towards the body, straightening that leg towards the sky. So you may find that you can get a little deeper now than you did at the very start of class, holding the back of the leg, flexing the toes back towards the shin. Taking a nice big breath here. Good, keeping that action of drawing the shin back towards you, releasing the heel to the floor. Inhaling, stretch the arms overhead, point the toes. As you exhale, draw the left knee into the body. When you're ready, straightening that leg, flex the toes towards the shin, actively drawing the leg back towards you. So if you notice here that the right leg starts to float from the floor, then it's an indication you're pulling a little too hard on the stretch. So let your right leg stay nice and grounded and just find that comfortable range of motion. It doesn't matter where the leg goes or what it looks like, whether it's bent or straight. As long as you feel the stretch in the back of your thigh, then you're doing it right. Releasing that foot down to the floor, we're going to wriggle our way into a relaxation pose, laying cobbler's pose. So still getting a nice stretch going on the inner thighs as you bend the knees, soles of the feet come together. And bringing your hands to rest on your belly so you can continue to focus on your breathing now as you lay here, letting the eyes close. Again, let gravity help you and take over here. So just let your thighs become really heavy. If it's way too strong a stretch, prop cushions under your hips. Rest here for as long as you have the time to, focusing on your breathing. Big inhale breaths, long, slow exhale breaths as you fully relax. Thank you for joining me today and my dogs and Olivia. I hope you enjoy this practice. Rest, enjoy, and I'll see you soon. Namaste.